that was as deflating of an end to a season as it possibly could have been. It's like a Tom Brady football or something. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all fans of all ages, I am Beast Making for Real Passenger on the Tua train, and that really stings. To lose to an arch rival and to not make the playoffs really sucks. Now, sure, it probably wasn't meant to be because Kansas City decided, you know what, we're just going to chalk it up, and their backups were as bad and probably worse than anyone could have hoped for or expected. It probably wasn't meant to be with that deflection, which should have been an interception and turned into a touchdown anyway. It probably wasn't meant to be to make the postseason then. But even then, for things to go as badly as they did today is pretty brutal. To have 4 turnovers and be miserable in the first half on offense was really rough. For Devon not to score on that long run he had and then go backwards 7 yards, pretty inexcusable offense on that regard. Sure, I get it. McDaniel's shorthanded. Hill and Waddle are hobbling out there. Okay, understood. The offensive line has 3 guys, and we've known this all along, that the guard spots need to be addressed immediately in the draft. We thought we had something with Isaiah Wynn, and then he gets hurt again. We need 2 guards. We need 2 starting guards. They're not on this roster. That has to be addressed immediately in the offseason. And to look as bad as we did in zone coverage, because yikes, the safety help this year has not been there. I like Javon Holland. If he were to stay, that'd be great. Paying him top dollar would not be. He has not earned that, at least not this year. He's had 2 good years to 1 really bad one. I'd still keep Holland if I could. But this was not a good year for him. Jordan Poyer, yikes. Again, zone coverage, no bueno. And it just wasn't good. And to have Aaron Rodgers look as old as he did for a lot of this year and to have 2 of his best games, and probably his 2 best games, against us is a pretty bad look. It's a disappointing day, considering how good this defense has been for a lot of this year. It's still not a referendum, if you will, on Anthony Weaver. I like him. I'd keep him. I hope he doesn't become a coach somewhere because I really like Anthony Weaver as our DC. Robert Saleh as a plan B is fine. I wouldn't fire McDaniel either. Obviously, he wasn't playing with a full deck, but he has to adapt when we don't have a full deck. We need a backup QB. We need a QB too. Snoop showed last week he could be that. Then he showed this week he should not be that. That was a brutal day for Snoop Huntley. At least the first half was. The second half, he was actually decent. We do need another QB, a rookie QB, to learn this system and be prepared just in case Tua can't be healthy going forward. And with the hip situation he's in, it's starting to look a little dicey. And that's got to change. Trench work's got to be worked on, whether Calais Campbell is on the roster next year or not. As great as he was, I wonder how long he's going to last in the NFL. As long as he's going to last as a Dolphin. So that does have to be addressed as well. This was a rough season and hopefully one that we never have to go through again because of all the injuries and all the chaos and all the uncertainty. We're going to have to fix some things. And for Chris Grier, if Grier does get fired, okay, it would sting. But I absolutely look for somebody in Pittsburgh, Baltimore, or Philadelphia. They have had excellent front offices for decades now. That has to be addressed. If we're going to move on from Grier, then one of those 3 front offices has to be poached for his replacement. There's no other way to do that. They have smart people in those buildings. They draft well. They scout well. That's one thing Grier has actually done. He drafts respectably well. Signing people on second contracts has been an issue, but obviously other teams see the talent he signs and drafts, and they handle business in other places. So I think that's the other thing to really take into account here. I wouldn't mind keeping Grier, but they absolutely have to address the trenches before anything else, and then go QB2 shopping in the draft. It just has to be this way. I'm not going to panic, but then again, I normally never do. I'm generally level-headed. I don't think you should, but I think people are going to panic and go for scorched earth policy despite this team being 8-9 and closing the season relatively well. Work has to be done, though. There's no other way to say it. Work has to be done. Let's go take care of some business in the offseason and do the necessary cleaning. Oh, and Danny Crossman connected stage right, because I think Malik Washington would have done all this stuff as our kick returner. As a lot of us told you that he would be the best kick returner on this team in the preseason, I think we can get rid of Crossman now. We don't even have to wait till cleaning out the lockers tomorrow or anything like that and get a competent special teams coach, because that's something that's necessary and needs to be addressed. On to the offseason. All aboard. Whoop, whoop. Good time.